I am so excited that Joyce Wheeler could join us on our menopause mastery. I call it mastery because we are talking about all the possible ways to handle all the symptoms and to make our lives much better. So take it away, Joyce.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, I'm Joyce Wheeler with TotalHolisticLiving.com. And when I started, well, first off, before I went through menopause, I actually started trying to do something about it 5 years earlier. So I was taking not black cohosh, Dunquay. I heard it was good for hot sweats, night sweats, hot flashes. So I started taking that. And then I started going through menopause and I noticed it wasn't helping my hot flashes. And I had talked to somebody else who had the same problem. But my thing was, I'm all about prevention. So however I can prevent something, I'm going to. So I started looking at how to deal with menopause holistically. And I found out some really interesting things. I found out that as women, when we take synthetic hormones, our bodies are like, oh, well, she has enough. I don't need to produce any. And our body will stop producing. But there are ways that we can help our body to continue to produce the hormones that it would have naturally. So let's go through some of the symptoms. And I've noticed that all women are not the same. Some have some of these symptoms, some don't have any. For me, I had one that's not on here, like for the cognitive symptoms, you have brain fog, trouble concentrating, dizziness, insomnia. I didn't have any of those. What I had was irrational thoughts. I was thinking irrationally, and I knew that my thoughts were not true. But it was like I was arguing with myself. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. And yeah, that was the worst. So let's look at the emotional symptoms. We have anxiety, depression or low mood, irritability, libido changes, mood swings, panic attacks. Gosh, I'm having many panic attacks. And the physical symptoms, we have bloating, breast tenderness, chills, fatigue, hair thinning or loss. Now that's an interesting one because it's been, I'm trying to think, probably 5 years ago that I went through my menopause. And I just now am noticing my hair thinning, but I've got some things that I've been doing for that. I've just been taking my fingers and just rubbing my scalp because that goes and it stimulates the hair follicles. So you could try that, but you have to do it consistently. I know somebody who went through chemo, so they naturally lost their hair, and she's been trying this method and has said it has not worked for her. But I notice, like when I'm watching TV at night, I'll just sit there and I'll just massage my head. And not only is it going to help my hair grow, but it feels pretty good too. It's pretty calming. So headaches, migraines, heart palpitation, hot flashes, joint pain or stiffness, muscle aches, and one that's not on here is I'm trying to think of how to word it, losing bone density. So physical symptoms include the night sweats, osteoporosis, oh, there's the bone loss, skin changes, dryness, itchy, loss of elasticity, tingling sensations, urinary changes. I think the urinary changes happen not just because of menopause, but especially if you've had children. I think that's a part of why you have the urinary changes. Urgency or frequency, vaginal dryness or discomfort, and then weight gain. So exercise. Exercise helps to regulate the insulin. It also reduces cortisol, which is caused by stress. So when you're going through menopause, it can be very stressful. I know it was for me with those irrational thoughts. It was very frustrating. I didn't know what to do about them. So that causes stress, and exercise will reduce that cortisol. We need cortisol, but we don't want too much. And then that goes into adaptogen herbs. So ashwagandha, rhodiola, and what that does is they help to balance out the cortisol. If there's too much, it'll lower it. If there's not enough, it'll push it up. So exercise balances estrogen and progesterone. It also increases bone density, but you have to use weights. They don't have to be heavy. You can't just use 3 pounds. I started exercising when I was actually 17. When I had my son, I was going to the chiropractor, and they did an x-ray. And she said to me, my gosh, your bones are so strong. And I contribute that to exercising with weights. And when it comes to exercise, you have to do something you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, you are not going to do it. For instance, my daughter started hooping with a hula hoop. So find something dancing. You could go ahead and dance, ride a bike, go swimming, take a walk with a friend. Just do some kind of exercise that you enjoy doing, because otherwise, like I said, you're not going to do it. Healthy weight, and exercise also promotes dopamine, which is that feel-good hormone. So it's, not only are we creating bone density, we're also creating dopamine. So let's talk about nutrition. Eating vegetables, healthy fats, and proteins supports estrogen and progesterone balance. Fiber helps the body eliminate excess estrogen, because we don't want to have too much. That's not good either. So let's talk about the gut microbiome. I don't know if everybody is aware about the gut microbiome, but it's actually very vital for our health. And it plays a key role in estrogen balance. So what the gut microbiome is a collection of bacteria, which helps to process estrogen. And poor gut health contributes to excess estrogen. The gut health is essential for our mental health. It also is where 90% of serotonin is created, and serotonin is needed to produce melatonin, which is what helps us sleep at night. So we want to feed the gut microbiome. So probiotics, prebiotics, which the probiotics feed off of, or you can, like kombucha, sauerkraut, kimchi. All 3 of those have the most various strands of probiotics. Because while we need the probiotics, we don't know what strands we need. When I first started studying this back in 2015, there is no way of testing it. Now you can send your stools off and they can test them and tell you which probiotics you need. But the kimchi, sauerkraut, and kombucha all have various strands of probiotics, and kombucha actually has prebiotics, which again, the probiotics feed off of. So not only is 90% of serotonin created in the gut microbiome, but it's also where 85% of our immune system is located. So within our gut microbiome, we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. But the thing is that our bodies have more bacteria on it than we have human cells, which I find very interesting. They're also calling the gut microbiome the second brain. And the brain and the gut are connected by the vagus nerve, which of course is the longest nerve in our body. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we have a healthy gut microbiome so that we can go ahead and keep those hormones going so that we can be healthier. Liver support. The liver processes and eliminates excess hormones. Antioxidant foods support detoxification pathways. Think dark green veggies helps regulate the estrogen. So the herbs to help with liver support are dandelion and milk thistle. And we should be using these on a regular basis because our world is so toxic that we're seeing people with fatty liver disease who don't even drink alcohol. But it comes because the liver is used to eliminate waste. It's having a hard time because it's so overworked by all these toxins that we're bombarded by on a daily basis. And dandelion is also bitter, so it's very good for helping your digestive tract. The importance of hydration. Proper hydration helps the liver and kidneys process hormones. Electrolytes like magnesium and potassium support hormone balance. Magnesium plays a key role in our sleep quality. So hibiscus is great for getting all your electrolytes that you need. And it tastes like cranberry. So I like to drink it cold. I don't like it warm, but that's one thing that I'll do. And I found out about hibiscus when I was low on potassium and I was shuffling around the house and I talked to a local herbalist and he said, you tell me what to do. Well, once I got my potassium back up, that's when it was. Then I didn't have any energy. But I called him back and I told him, and he said, you're low on electrolytes. And he's the one that told me hibiscus has all the electrolytes that our bodies need, which is good to know because so many people are grabbing those sports drinks for electrolytes that are really unhealthy because they've got processed sugar in them. Dealing with stress. Ongoing stress raises cortisol, disrupting estrogen and progesterone balance. So we had talked about this, ways to reduce stress, that the ashwagandha and rhodiola. So sleep. Healthy estrogen progesterone levels promote restful sleep, and good sleep supports their balance. Holistic tips for sleep. Essential oils. If you have a diffuser, you can put some lavender in there. Lavender is very calming. Or herbs. Drink some lavender, chamomile tea before you go to bed. You could also make a sash with it and put it into a bathtub. And that can help to relax you also. Or you could do all of the above and really suck it to them. So we want to avoid endocrine disruptors. The thyroid and adrenal glands produce hormones for a wide variety of functions. Plastics, pesticides, and synthetic fragrances often carry chemicals that imitate estrogen and disrupt hormone balance. So the herbs for menopausal symptoms. Now, when I was going through menopause, I was at an event. I was a vendor, and there was another vendor who made tinctures. Well, they wanted something from me, so I went to see what they had, and she actually had a tincture for menopause. So I started taking it for like a week, and it actually was working. And I got in touch with her because I needed more. And for whatever reason, she was hem-hawing and she never bought it to me. So I went, okay, I'm going to do my own research and I'm going to make my own tincture. Excuse me. So these are the herbs that I put into it. So raspberry leaf is good for like every symptom. of menopause. Donquoy regulates hormones, increases bone density, and reduces hot flashes. Black cohosh is good for anxiety, depression, and your overall mood. Chaseberry helps to regulate hormones, it's libido support, helps with hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, anxiety, and sleep issues. Elderflowers are good for relaxing. Dried oat straw helps support the nervous system, libido, strengthens bones, and hair. Licorice root is for vaginal dryness, skin health, stress, fatigue, and it's also a harmonizer. And what that means is that when all these herbs are put together and the licorice root is in it, it helps harmonize all the herbs. So the other thing that I had found for the vaginal dryness was vitamin E suppositories. And that moisture down there helps to flush stuff out of us that should not be in our bodies. So for us, it's important to make sure that we have moisture down there. And I found that vitamin E suppositories are a great natural way. You can also use coconut oil. You could do that too. So yeah. So does anybody have any questions? No, we're all good.
It seems so.
Good.
I did have a
Oh,
question, Joyce. When you said about the estrogen, I can't remember what it was there, the estrogen and progesterone balance. What was helping that?
Everything. It's not just one thing, which is something that I found out living a holistic lifestyle, that for the majority, not the majority, but for some things, it's just a combination of everything. It's not one thing. Because like I said, I've been exercising since I was 17, but yet was still dealing with issues from menopause. And especially with the irrational thoughts, I couldn't do anything about that. But once I formulated this tincture, then that went away. And I actually, in the giveaways, I have herbs for menopause, and there's more herbs in it than what I just went through. But it also talks about which part is used, the preparation. So, a lot of people want to drink tea, and that's fine, but not herbs taste so good. Like, I'm thinking milk thistle, it's not milk thistle. Stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is jam packed with nutrients and vitamins, but it tastes horrible. It's like, yeah. But so it's like, with certain herbs, it's just like you don't want to use it in tea. So you can make a tincture out of it, which is usually either based with alcohol, vegetable glycerin, or apple cider vinegar. So, but it's just not I wish there was one thing that I can say, that you could do this and it's going to help, but it's not one thing, it's everything. Unfortunately.
So one of
so
the
in
things
order to change your whole lifestyle, what tip would you give? Just one tip? I think that's maybe what Teresa was looking for.
Is that correct, Teresa?
it's a good question.
I love herbs. So
Okay.
I would encourage people to incorporate herbs. See, but one thing that too, with that giveaway that I have, I also have precautions because, for instance, with the licorice root that was in that tincture, if you have liver or kidney issues, or even if you have high blood pressure, you should not have too much of it. Nobody should have too much of it. And actually, that was the last and the smallest amount that was in that tincture was the licorice root. But, herbs are great, but you do have to be careful. There are precautions. There are some herbs that if you're taking them, they will help to lower your blood sugar, in which case you need to monitor your blood sugar so it doesn't go too low. But I love herbs. And
So,
there's
oh, could I just go back to my other question? So we know that if estrogens get too high, that's when we also starting having problems with cancer and things like that.
right.
So when you're talking about an estrogen progesterone balance, it would seem we've got to increase the progesterone items to keep it in balance. Or, I mean, I'll be talking about some ways to reduce estrogen. So I'm just wondering why we want to have it in balance when it's going more and more.
Why we want to have it in balance?
Mm-hmm.
Because things have to be balanced out. There has to be a balance. Just like with cortisol, you go too high, you have issues. You go too low, you have issues. Same thing with estrogen. You go too high, you're at risk for cancer. You go too low, you have issues. So it has to be a balance. And that's where the liver and the gut microbiome come in. And I'm really big into the gut microbiome.
And that was interesting. You said it was 85% of our
Immune system.
immune system. That's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, the gut microbiome is really important, and it's not talked about enough. Doctors don't check for our probiotics. My daughter and I had watched a documentary where the people were testing their gut microbiome by submitting stools to a laboratory. And they were doing it for various things, which I found interesting. One woman was having a problem losing weight. So somebody else was struggling. What was that? They were all struggling with something. So they submitted their stools and they found out which probiotics they needed. And now it's just come out recently that probiotics are also needed for good psychological reasons. They're calling them psychobiotics, but I can't find anything on the internet where they're selling psychobiotics.
All right. Well, I think that you imparted so much great information. I thank you so much. And I am stopping the recording.